What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Do You Do? I'm your co-host, Shrey. We got T Foxy Trav and Justin Jawong Dong. How we doing today, boys?
Lively.
We're back.
Yeah.
Vibrant?
Yeah. Zesty.
Okay.
No?
Not zesty.
Cool Ranch.
Yeah, Cool Ranch will work.
You know, ranch is like trying to take over the world. It's the most popular condiment by far now.
That can't be true.
True.
What cite your sources?
Middle America.
And Middle America is like the driving force behind condiments?
Behind Big Ranch.
Big
Hidden
Ranch.
Valley.
So we can safely say that ranch has beaten blue cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Demolished.
Yeah.
Ranch is coming for ketchup.
I kind of actually like ranch better than ketchup.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I was at a Chili's in the Vegas airport last night, and man, ranch only.
Yeah. For the awesome blossom.
I did not get a personal awesome blossom. Can you imagine stinking up an airplane with fucking like fried onion everywhere? Oh.
Yeah, how was Vegas?
Quick. It was very quick. I only stayed in one building and never left. That feels very Vegas, but it was a work conference in the Aria, and I stayed in the Aria. And yeah, I was there 36 hours. It was almost as much like flying time as it was being in Vegas time, which is weird.
You flew for 36 hours?
It's 2 6-hour flights plus like, give it an extra 3 hours per trip. So it's like 18 hours.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of
For
travel.
Vegas?
For Vegas, man.
It's too much.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest fan of Vegas.
No? Why not?
Because so I went to USC, and every year we would go to Vegas for like our spring formal, and we'd bus out like 140 people to Vegas in like big charter buses and rent all these really cool rooms, because if you pool that much money together, you're like getting bar tabs and like club sections and stuff. And so by the time I like was 22 and graduated, I was like, oh, I'm done with Vegas. Like I've done the partying. And so now I don't have that desire as much when I go back. But
What if you lived closer and then you did like a adult, like nicer version, like restaurant, shows, maybe play some golf?
that's the vibe. Like I did that once with a girl I was dating. We went to like good dinners, good shows. Like we floated the pools and lazy rivers, and like that's I think how you got to do it now.
Yeah.
But it was still good. We went to Din Tai Fung for dinner while we were there. I drank a bunch of cocktails. I put $100 on red, lost, immediately went to bed.
Nice.
That was the extent of your gambling?
I was like, I'm going to get to the same result no matter what I do. So
That's a loser's attitude.
the problem was, so I wanted to play blackjack, but the cheapest table at the Aria was $25 a hand. And I'm like, I can't.
It's the best way to do it.
That's just a lot of money. Like, that's what are 4 hands? Then I go home. So I just put it all on red.
They didn't have like the $10 tables?
No, it was mainly 50s and then some 25s.
I feel like in the evening they bump that up for sure.
The 9 a.m. was a little bit cheaper, yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of money that goes through Vegas is absurd.
It's crazy. And it's weird being there for work and you're like amongst the people, but separate. Like you have a very different mission.
Yeah.
Like I'm wearing a badge. I'm going to go like
But the sin is just
network.
all around you still.
And then there's like 8 dudes just like blitzed at 10 a.m. playing roulette, like having the time of their lives.
You don't have to name names, but did anyone at your company enjoy Vegas a little too much?
No, it was only 2 of us that went, and we were fairly responsible. I mean, we like had some good drinks at dinner and stayed out. I mean, we stayed out till like 11. Like it was pretty tame for
Ooh.
Vegas. Wow. For me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. It's
For
like
future
Vegas is
reference,
just
when we're
starting.
filming the podcast, make some shit up.
No. Yeah, bro, it got lit,
We went to the strip club.
got stuck on the roof. Shit was crazy.
He's like, I gambled very responsibly, got 8 hours of sleep, flew back.
This is the 30s pod, bro. That's what I'm saying. Vegas, like, I did that
Yeah.
at 2020,
Our company does actually in 2 weeks they're doing this yearly like conference in Vegas, and I think it gets pretty lit with like it's like all these like hotel people come into town, and the events go way late into the night.
Yeah, I'm sure. A lot of people at the conference were like staying. There was some really bro-y founder that I met, and he's like, yeah, bro, we're going to Diplo tomorrow. Like, I don't really know Diplo, but I listen to this Big Booty Jams playlist on Spotify. You got to check it out. I'm like, we're in the lunch line, man. Like, I'm not ready for this conversation.
I mean, if you go to a Diplo show, he gets to tell everyone that he's a founder.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you do? I'm a founder.
It was one of those companies where it's like 5 co-founders, and so they're all using it on their Tinder, I'm sure,
I'm sure they won't have an implosion. That always works. 5.
As long as the beers keep flowing.
5 cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
5 heterosexual 33-year-old straight
I'm the
dudes.
alpha co-founder here.
Yeah. But it was good. I'm happy to be back. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Ready to run tomorrow with you guys.
Yeah. Justin, how you doing?
I'm good,
How you
man. I'm
feeling?
good. I'm good. I went out last night. I shouldn't have gone out last night because we're all racing tomorrow. Well, we're all running a half marathon tomorrow because I guess if you're 30, you either have kids or start running.
Yeah.
And none of us have kids, so running was the option. But no, I feel good. Yeah, we're gonna see how fast we can go.
We're going to finish it.
Yeah.
I'm really just looking forward to hanging out after more than
Yeah.
anything.
I want to go to Threes. I want to get good beers, chicken sandwich.
Where'd you go last night?
We went to a birthday last night at this place in the Lower East Side. The DJ was having a hard time finding the vibe. At first, it was a lot of EDM. Then he looked around, saw a lot of white women, played exclusively Taylor Swift for like 5 songs in a row. And I like, Taylor Swift's an amazing artist, but it's not my kind of music, so I kind of like sat in the corner just kind of waiting this out. And then he found the early 2000s hip hop. He found the vibes.
Oh, dude, this guy's a snake.
Why?
He saw who's in the audience, and now he's gonna just like cater to everything that they think they want. Just stick to your jams.
Yeah.
I mean, it was her private birthday.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like you guys went to a bar and it was just
No,
like the DJ
they
there.
had rented out.
Okay,
they had rented
that's a little
I
more
like
fair.
your philosophy, though. I'm imagining like you playing a wedding, and they're like, play some like good wedding. You're like, no, I created this new banger, and I'm going to play it.
Shrey doesn't take requests. Strictly 80s Joel.
I was thinking if it was just like you go at the bar and it's the DJ for the bar, that he should just play what he's good at,
Right.
what he wants to, not trying. Oh, I saw a white woman. Now I'm going to play Taylor Swift. Oh, I saw an Indian guy. Now I'm going to play MC Punjabi.
I mean, but that song, though.
So one guy.
He's like, this is for you.
I saw Justin. I played Zoo.
What's Zoo?
You don't know Zoo?
The ZHU?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? What kind of music is that?
We'll insert a clip here.
It's
I gotta look.
like EDM.
ZHU is Jew.
Well,
This guy looks cool.
he is cool.
I didn't know he was Asian.
Yeah.
Steven Jew.
I'm like 90% sure he is. I saw a show, but he was more in like a silhouette,
Yeah.
so I didn't really like see him.
What do you mean he was in a silhouette?
Like the lighting, you couldn't really
I actually
see like
agree.
his face.
I did see him in Vegas, funny
Yeah.
enough, like 8 years ago. And similarly, couldn't tell you what he looked like at all.
I've seen a lot of shows where I actually don't know what the DJ looks like. Like I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
what.
Like we were at Knockdown Center a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't even see the stage for 99% of it. We
Yeah.
didn't know there was an actual singer until like 10 songs in. Because it's like EDM. I thought it was like, oh, they're just
Yeah.
looping in the voice. And then I look and there's just a lady. I'm like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm just looking through Ju's discography. His hits are Faded and Cocaine Model,
Yeah.
Money.
Money.
I like that one.
So if the DJ sees you, he's playing that.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And if
I
the
mean, those songs are fun, though.
If the DJ sees Travis, he's playing Mumford and Sons.
Just a lot of Dave, a lot of Mumford and
Dude,
Sons.
I haven't heard
Bon
Mumford
Iver.
in so I would love some Mumford right now.
What was the most overrated like folky band? In the
Edward
2000s.
Sharp and the Magnificent Zeros, Home.
Yeah, that song stinks.
Also, he stinks. Smelliest. I've always wanted to have this platform on this podcast, and it's never come up. He is the stinkiest person I've ever met in my life.
Really?
I met him outside of the ACL recording thing on like whatever 4th Street in Austin,
Yeah.
downtown. And he was walking around with like some people from his band. And I recognized him because they were like really popular for a couple of years with that
Yeah.
song.
With the whites.
Yeah. And he was barefoot wearing like loose linen clothing that looked like it hadn't been washed in weeks. And like you could smell him from a half block away.
Mm,
Not to profile, but he does look
Yep.
stinky.
He was like in a vivid memory of how stinky this man was.
Why is that? Is that an artist thing?
I think he's a cult guy.
Oh.
So, the stinkier the better.
I would join a cult.
Let's talk about cults.
Which cult would you join?
I don't know. Like I would join a cult. I'm good with cults up until the sex stuff. As soon as like
Some would say that's the whole point.
I don't want to join your cult.
What's up with you, Shrey?
Dude, not much. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I really don't have much to update on.
You have some new music coming out?
Yeah.
Oh
Plug-
yeah, I
plug
do
the
have some new
album.
music. Yeah. So I'm gonna be. So I made some music a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys remember, I'm gonna be doing some re-releases of those first, but it's I think a lot better sonic quality. So I think it's gonna sound a lot.
It's your
lot
album,
better.
but Shrey's version.
Yeah. Even though the first one was also my version.
Reclaim it, bro.
Yeah.
What's the name of the new album?
Well, the first one, the album will be the same, but
Right.
the second one will be the travel pack.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why travel pack?
It's just like a collection of songs that are kind of representative of some of the travels.
Ooh, so it's kind of, is it like geographically based or memory based? Like, how did you think about creating
Yeah,
the songs?
A little bit of both. A little
Okay.
bit of like places I've been to, a little bit of like memories
Mm.
from those specific places. Yeah, 10 songs on it. I think it'll be good. So we get into the main topic.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, main topic for today is what the fuck do you do?
Maximalism.
No.
Damn it. Hoarding.
What the fuck do you do if you want to be a minimalist?
So let's define this, right? Because minimalism, we hear about it a lot. Means different things to different people. Trav, like, what is your definition of a minimalist?
So when I think about the picture in my head of minimalism, I think about like black and white aesthetics, like, you know, clean lines and contours. Like, think about like you walk into somebody's place and there's nothing on their countertops.
Mhm.
It's just like chromatic, you know, differentiation. And I usually think of pretentiousness. And I think of people who hate knickknacks, which I love. Like, where's the place for knickknacks in minimalism? We'll table that one for later.
Yeah.
You know, I usually think of people who are like, I don't know, a little less emotionally attached to things. So like they don't find the same like nostalgia in owning material items necessarily. So yeah, but I picture this like black and white place with like a few art pieces on the wall, but like no real soul.
Sounds like you hate minimalists.
Yeah.
No, but that's just like the picture that's in my head.
Are you a hoarder?
I think a minimalist would call me a hoarder. I think an average person would be like, "You're fine."
And that's really the target market. for
Yeah,
you.
and we'll get into I think let's get into where I am on that spectrum according to Shrey. But what's your feeling of minimalism? Like, what's your experience of it?
I think of it less as like possessions. I think it's more a minimalist to me is someone who has an aversion to excess. And excess can be defined as like having ownership of different stuff or cutting out bullshit in your life, right? Like people who try to keep it simple where simplicity is the guiding light for them. That to me is kind of how I would define minimalism.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like both of what you guys said.
Who's do you like better?
Well, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. It's just what you think it is. To me, I think it is, and I'm very passionate about this topic, but but I think it's simplifying your life. I think I think about it in kind of two different tenets that I think about. One is I think it is very individualistic, though. So I think to what you were saying, I do think there is a problem of like when you see like minimalist decor or like maybe you go on YouTube and you look at what minimalists do, there's very much like an identity tied to it of like, I don't own this and I don't have this. But to me, like both of you guys are actually minimalists. If you've ever like gotten rid of something, canceled a meeting, like figured out some aspect to simplify your life. And I think everyone should be just in the realm of like, you figure out in your specific life what works for you and how to make it simpler.
I think it's important to know, like, let's frame the conversation for today. Like, why are we talking about minimalism? Like, we've talked about it a lot to amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you're gonna get into it, like, why you're passionate about it and your tenets as you speak to them. But like, how did we get here? Like, why are we talking about minimalism today?
Well, I think I mentioned it on a podcast like 5 episodes ago. like minimalist consulting or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like your wife is a big minimalist.
She is when it comes to my stuff. But yeah,
So that was like a boomer humor joke.
Classic.
Like, my wife.
but I think it's like the context for today and kind of we were thinking about is like, Trav, you have some pretty big life events that you're going through right now. Just moved in with your girlfriend.
Oof. Shout out Ange.
Shout out Ange.
Big Ange.
I mean, but yeah, and it's like now you are going from owning 100% of your renting 100% of your space to now sharing that space.
Yes.
And I'm sure that there is a lot of conversation that comes along with moving in with a partner.
There is. Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
It's a lot of like, I think before the inventory stage, it's a lot of like discussing preferences
Mhm.
and understanding like where each other is coming in from on like what they envision for their living space. Like, I think we learned a lot about each other just from the actual like trying to rent, like the seeing different units, going like and meeting brokers and stuff, because we figured out like, oh, what does a good kitchen mean to you? Like, what does good lighting mean to you? What does accessibility mean to you? And we had different ideas of it. And so first it's like kind of norming our expectations and seeing what's like in the agreement bucket and the like hard no bucket.
What were some hard no's? And what were some hard yeses?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Hard no for me was like lighting. So like I can't ever live in a basement unit. That's something I've always known about myself in New York. And like you can get so much more space, but I was like, I can't have these these windows that face. It's the classic like window in New York where you're just looking at a brick wall 4 feet away, and it's like it's great. I just like I knew I couldn't do that. For her, like accessibility was like a hard no. So if it was like 20 minutes to the nearest subway and there's only one subway line there, that just like was a non-starter for her. So we knew we needed to be central, good lighting. Those were, and then like central Brooklyn, you know, because that's just like what we like and where our people are and our things are.
Doesn't sound cheap.
Not cheap, no. Fucking sucks. And then, but I'm proud of us. We moved for under $500 for 2 people total.
Like your moving costs were under 500?
All in, yeah.
All right, how did you do that?
We rented a
Minimalist
car
movers.
for a day and we moved all her stuff with just us 2. And then I hired TaskRabbits for me and then moved the rest by hand. Pretty chill.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So like the car rental, the Ubers, we did like some Ubering, you know, back and forth with stuff. And the TaskRabbit all in was like, I think like $450.
Shit. I feel like that's about as easy as it gets for
Kind
New
of
York
proud of,
move.
kind of proud of that. Yeah. Minimalist moving.
I mean, moving companies in general are a fucking scam.
Oh my god! And all the quotes were like $800 for my like studio. You would have the pride of it though was the car we rented perfectly fit a large, medium, and small box and a line.
Oh,
so
nice.
it was like the most aesthetically pleasing Tetris move. Just like a perfect load.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah. But I think the next to your point, Justin, it's like we both had a lot of stuff. And it's like you know, you each have a fully furnished living space. So like what do you it's not all gonna go.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
not, you know, maybe one day it would expand, but in a sense you're like downsizing. So we had to go through and figure out like which pieces of furniture we liked more. And now we're kind of in the phase where there's just a shit ton of boxes sitting in our living room and we're like, where does it go? There's no natural storage in the apartment. There's like closets, but closets pretty much my approach in my last place was hide a bunch of boxes in the back of the closet, never think about it again. And that doesn't really fly. Like when you're trying to do it right. So I don't know. My biggest challenge has been books. I have like 300 books. And so, you know, my dream is to have a library one day.
Yeah.
This is also not minimalist. I like hoard books. And so I have them all stacked under our kitchen counter. Like, there's a little overhang. And so I have this like perfect book nook. But
I actually disagree. I don't think that's not minimalist because I think you like books.
I love books.
So
they spark joy.
I don't think you should get rid of them.
Thank you. But I will say, like, the moving process, it's so funny because as you're the thought of, man, I have to box this up and carry it across the city is a really good forcing factor for whether you really like something or not. So clothes, like,
do I really want to do this?
Yeah, a lot of, like, I was like, I realized I haven't actually turned on the PC I built in like 15 months. And so I gave it to some of our students, like at work. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not like a gaming PC guy anymore.
Yeah.
And your students were like, "Hey, thanks for
No,
this."
dude, it's like $1,000 gaming PC.
Oh.
Shit's fucking nice.
I feel like when I ever stayed with you, I don't ever remember you like playing that either. But you had like a nice little setup for it.
Yeah, it's like a whole. But at a certain point, I'm like, why do I have this space used for this?
Yeah.
Like, so it caused me to definitely purge a lot of things. And even now, as I'm unpacking stuff, I'm like, oh, do I really need this? Like,
Yeah.
Not because I have to figure out a place to put it. It's like, do I need this little doll that somebody gave me, this little knick-knack or like whatever it is.
But it's interesting because you already packed it.
Yeah.
So at no point in the packing process did you think about this. It's just like when it was in the new space. You're like,
Some of it I did, but then
we were just scooping things in a box, and you're like, let's get this
I'm
out
like,
of
I'm
here.
like, but this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
And I also have I have reluctance getting rid of things that people give me. So like even there was one thing I got rid of in the move that it was like a little hand mirror that my friend Yafim gave me like 4 years ago, and I've never once used it. Like why I don't use a hand mirror, but it was like a nice gift, and so I've just kept it around like kind of in a box for like 4 years. I was like, okay, I got it. This is time. This is now the time to get rid of it.
sorry, Yafim.
I know, my bad, bro. But
Why did he give you a hand mirror?
I don't know.
Kind of rude, honestly.
I don't know. That's a good question. We can poll the audience.
Yeah.
What's the intent of a hand mirror? It's like,
hey, I think you could use this.
it's like you got a bunch of shit on your face, man. You got to take care of that.
So when it comes to throwing stuff out as in your move, would you say that it's mainly your stuff? Is it pretty even? Because like when I moved in with Diane, like my taste stinks. Like I don't have taste. I don't have good aesthetic. I'm not a good judge of aesthetics.
Yeah.
And so when you move in with a girl, you can't really have Wu-Tang Clan posters on your walls.
Right.
They generally don't like that.
Right.
Maybe the like Rihanna in a bikini pic above my bed had to go too. So it's just like for me moving in with a girl, I noticed that it was a lot of my stuff getting thrown out, which looking back was clearly the move.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to understand for you, as you cull through this mountain of boxes, like whose stuff is getting tossed out more?
It's actually pretty even. Like most of the furniture we brought over was mine. And then I think art is where we're gonna have some battles, because I like to think I have a good art aesthetic and art taste.
Yeah.
I'm like a little more refined than your Rihanna posters, Justin.
What's not refined about Rihanna?
But I'm like, where's the minimalist West Texas art gonna go? And she's like, well, let's think about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. The one thing I will tell you, the biggest disagreement we have right now is I have a Patron case, a large wooden Patron case
that
I'm very proud of. It
Yeah.
was a gift from my old roommate's uncle who worked at the Patron factory. And so it's like a one of one. Like they can't find it on eBay, can't find it on the internet. And it's like tall and glass, and I've used it for books and stuff. And I fucking drove it from San Francisco to New York. So it's been with me for like 8 years now. 10 years, which is crazy. It doesn't fit any aesthetics, and it has a big Patron logo on it. And so we're currently fighting about where that's going to live.
You need to put Patron in there.
It's the shelves are to the place where they can only fit Patron bottles. They can't fit liquor bottles. So it's actually been perfect for books, but I could also put 9 Patron bottles in it.
Yeah. At
That'd
no
be
point
pretty
have you
fire.
considered putting Patron in the Patron cabinet?
I've never really thought about buying $600 of Patron to put in it now.
Fair enough.
Given that I've had the same tequila bottle for the last year at my studio, because I never drink at home. But yeah, that's the hardest one.
That's the one you're gonna die on. That's the hill.
That's my hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you've talked about this a lot, Shrey. Like you've had this idea of like a minimalism consulting business. Like I want to understand the background of like how you started thinking about that, what that means to you. Cause like Trav and I had talked about kind of how we think about it, but
Yeah.
this is something you're really passionate about. So give us the download.
I think like I said, I think minimalism is something everybody could do, but it's like an exercise of figuring out how to apply it for your life. Cause like the things that I do is not something that you should do. Just because Shrey does it doesn't mean you do it. Like you have to figure out be self-aware of like the things that you like, your experiences, like what matters to you more. And it's kind of like, I think we talked about this of like, if you could have a room in the house, like what would you like have it for? And we all have different answers, but it's not like a wrong answer. It's just what's right for you.
Right.
So I think about like, in terms of minimalism, how you simplify your life, like that's all like individualistic, like how you can do that for yourself. I think the benefit of it is to unlock like maybe more like clarity and intention. But really, I think it's to slow your mind down a lot.
Yeah,
So-
walk me through that. Like, why is simple better?
So like think about like, okay, I'm gonna get a little more philosophical
Yeah.
here. So like, what does like a good day look like for you? Like,
It usually means I'm eating something like healthy and tasty. I'm well rested.
mm-hmm.
I'm seeing people I care about and spending time with them. And yeah, I don't know. Those are like the big ones.
Yeah.
For me, it's doing the things that I set out to do when I start the day. So it's
Yeah.
like if I have a lot of work calls, it's like getting through that and getting to the tail end, right? So it's also eating things that are good and tasty is just like fun.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like I set out with a goal of what I'm going to do that day. It's like not super intense or labor intensive, but it's like if I get the things done that I set out to do, I feel like I accomplished something.
You're not feeling unfinished like
Right.
in your day.
Yeah.
I always finish.
Oh.
Nice guys.
guy.
Always come last.
Yeah, I think about like what's a good day, and I think it's like your mind is kind of just clear and like focused and present, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you're not worried about something in the future. You're just like, I'm doing my work. I'm kind of focused on that. And then I go to like hang out with my friends. I'm doing that. I'm enjoying this activity that I'm doing. But your mind is just kind of like locked into what you're doing. And I think like one of the things that helps kind of unlock that is a simple mind and like a mind where it's slowed down. Because I don't know about y'all, like when my mind's going like 100 miles per hour, it's like then when I'm at work, like everything like kind of like agitates me or like, you know, someone could do this and I'm like, oh my God, or like I'm worried about this. But when you're kind of more like zenned out, you're more like, okay, yeah, I'm here to do my work.
Yeah.
Done. I'm going to go hang out with these guys. Done. I'm going to go do this. Great. And it's a sort of like good day.
I think it's like a good day for me as you speak through that. It's like the worst thing that happens is like when you lay down in bed and you cannot sleep because your mind is racing, right?
Yeah.
So I think a good day for me as you kind of extrapolate on that is like if I can hit the pillow and knock out and be at ease,
Yeah.
regardless of what we've actually done that day,
Yeah.
that to me would be indicative of a good day.
Yeah, there's this interesting thing. Like, so I've worked with like a leadership coach a lot this past year, and we talked a lot about this practice of being provisionally complete in
Yeah.
your day, which is basically like taking the log of like what you accomplished, what like maybe went unaccomplished or like disappointments, and then planning out the things that are left to be completed. And so like even if you're not doing them, you have like the time scheduled to do it, you know what the plan is, you can communicate like different expectations to people, and it's
Yeah.
like it's a really good way to put like that end stamp on your day so that you can go to bed and be like, hey, you know, no matter what happened today, I have
Yeah.
the plan for everything going forward. Like I don't have to
Yeah.
have my mind racing about all the different possibilities.
And it's a great feeling when you can go to bed and you're just like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
go to bed.
Feels incredible. I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah. I honestly think like, you know, people talk about like what makes like a happy life. I think it's like those things of like, I'm just kind of present in what I'm doing based on the things that matter to me. And I'm not depressed about the past, worried about the future. I'm just kind of doing. It's like that flow state, right? So how's this tied to minimalism? I just feel like in today's world, like there's like 100 things that can get your mind going in like 80 different directions, right? You look at your phone, you step outside and 20 things are happening on the street. All these things are happening at work and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it just gets your mind going. So I think minimalism is really like taking your world and figuring out how to kind of simplify it so that it can slow it down and just kind of clear it so that you are like can unlock like that flow state and that presence and that clarity and all of that. So I that's what I like to think of it like more like that than like I'm a minimalist because I don't have a bed and
Yeah.
like I don't have a TV and like whatever. Like that's more like an identity that I don't think that matters. It's really about for you, what are the things that you can do to kind of unlock all those benefits?
I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because I do think, as you described, flow state. Like to me, flow state is a privilege because a lot of times there are things that life throws our ways that
Yeah.
keep you from that. So like I think minimalism, as you describe it, like for me, it's like a good goal to have.
Yeah.
But it's not something that is black and white.
And it might not be constant. Like if you think about our work, you don't do flow state like most of the days that we're at work because you're context switching, you're going between calls and demos, and like there's a privilege also from like the working life to be able to carve out like deep work or intentional blocks of time.
Right.
And you might not have the ability to do it.
And none of us have like kids or like
Yeah.
like giant responsibilities that like fall outside of our own day to day. So like yes, for where I would push back is like I agree with you, Shrey, but I do think that that minimalism is also maybe a byproduct of like where we're at in our lives right now.
Why would kids disrupt minimalism?
Have you met kids?
Sure, but like why is that a like you're viewing that as like a bad thing?
No, I'm not. I'm just thinking like when we were growing up, right?
Yeah.
It was sports practice or violin practice, and there's so many things to do involving so many different people and other variables.
Yeah.
And you're doing these things like our parents were taking us to these things to better us, but I don't think that's necessarily, I don't think that any of our parents were super zen in doing it because I think they were just trying to do the best of what they could do with what was in front of them.
Sure, but overall I would say our parents like had a joy of being parents.
Sure.
And like what I'm saying is like sometimes I go to the gym. It's not like fun all the time. Like the half marathon we're going to do tomorrow, like I'm sure it's not always going to be like fun,
Probably will suck.
right? But they're things that you are intentionally doing because it matters to you and that you care about it.
Yeah. I think to Justin's point though, like when you think about, oh, can you have this like simple and distraction free day that's antithetical to like the realities of raising kids, especially if you're like you're on your, it's like that something happens, there's crying, there's like
Yeah.
sickness, there's like, you know, you literal like the impossibility of picking a kid up and getting them to the place that they need to be while you're working and you're
Sure.
behind and you got to get groceries and you got to figure out the dinner. And it's like, it does add up. And I think there's benefit, right, to thinking about how you can simplify a lot of that. But the realities are like, you're just going to get stuff thrown at you spontaneously that isn't in your plan.
That's a great point. So this is what I would say.
Yeah.
Minimalism is not about controlling everything. It's only about the things that you can control. That's it. You can't control if your boss is like, I need you to do this tomorrow, and now this is now 20 hours extra.
You're like,
work.
sorry, my flow state.
Yeah, you can't
just fuck them up.
you can't control if your kid gets sick and you now have to go like, pick him up and take him to the doctor.
Right.
Like, so like the whole exercise is around like what you can control, not about because like that you just can't control all aspects of life.
Can you give me an example? Because I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I would love like and I think for the listeners, it would be helpful to take a scenario that is universal or commonplace for a lot of people and how you would, the issues you see with how people do it and how you would incorporate minimalism.
Okay, so I'll say that I think you could apply minimalism in like 3 areas. I think you could do it in like space, in time, and then energy. So space would be like the decluttering, like the material things or like how you make use of your space, even like on your computer, like physically, like what are like the apps that you have. I mean, a big one there is like how much time do people spend like looking on their phones? And like what value is it actually getting out
I'm down 60% week over week. I'm just gonna throw that out
I'm
there.
proud of you. That's big.
No, last week was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a big one, right? Is like there's a lot of distractions into these like digital worlds, and it takes you away from like work or like improving yourself or spending time with your kids or whatever. With time, like this could be again like if you've got things with kids or whatever like that comes up, you have to deal with it when they come up. But like I feel like people are kind of inefficient with their time. Like even at work, like the amount of times people have this meeting, I'm like, what is the point of this meeting? Like, why am I here? And I don't think people are very diligent about like prioritizing like what is the most important, right? Energy, this is kind of a hard one, but I think it's like what are like the thoughts that come up for you, and like where like you could be at dinner with friends, but your energy is like your thoughts are like, oh, I'm thinking about this fight I had at work or with my girlfriend, or you're not there, right? You could be taking care of your kids, but you're thinking about like how you don't like your job or something. So, I mean, these are just kind of like some examples I came up with, but like I think they're all opportunities to like really take a look at like again like what you can control and think about how you can simplify it to make it work for you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay. Can I tell you what resonates with me and what scares me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The thing that resonates the most with me in all this is like decision fatigue. And I think it's something that like I would use this kind of minimalist aspect to improve my own life, which is, I don't think I'm going to go full hardball and like have the same pair of khakis that I wear every day. But like there's something to that, to know when you wake up, you go to the same place, you pick out the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's one less thing to worry about. I've like been so routine poor in my life that like there's so many times I wake up and it's like, what do I do for breakfast? What do I wear my clothes? Like, I don't have anything in the same place. Like I've never woken up or gone to bed at the same time in my life for more than like 2 days, And so there's just a lot of like, it does put some extra pressure on your brain to like figure it all out first thing.
Yeah.
And you're kind of starting from that place of anxiety versus the comfort of like knowing things have their place and their order, right?
Yeah.
So something that resonates a lot with me is like, wow, I think I could free up a lot of stress from taking some of those easy decisions away.
Yeah.
Like even a meal prep, right? It's like, oh, I know what I'm going to eat for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Cool.
And honestly, like before you get into the things that scare you, which I'm very curious to hear about, like this is where like again, it's all like individual, and like you run like these little experiments on yourself where like maybe you do try meal prepping on Sunday, but then maybe you realize like, oh, I really like rock climbing on Sundays, and so I don't have time for that, and like you just have to figure out like what works. And I think it is not this 1 week you just do this minimalism and now your life is set. I think it's a constant like exercise of being self-aware, and then like trying to just think through like what is going to work for you.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
Tell me about what scares you.
Yeah. I mean, I do think like the flip side of that coin is like variety is the spice of life. And like I see personally a lot of value in spontaneity and creativity, and like this kind of like, oh, it is nice to wake up and be like, existence is fun, and let's just figure out what to do with our day, and like joy to Eve and stuff. And like when you're talking about, oh, this meeting, like, is this meeting productive? Is it as efficient as it could possibly be?
Yeah.
I worry in those kind of scenarios that it's like, are we sucking all of the creativity and like spontaneity and innovation out of something when it's like so formulaic or so rigid?
Yeah.
Of just like, there can't be downtime. There can't be silent time. It's like, we must use this more efficiently.
No one's gravestone says they were ruthlessly efficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, almost that like manufacturing mentality scares me as like a more of a thinker person. Like,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think if you do it right, none of that would go away. It would actually you would actually have more time to do that. Like I find, let's take the phone example, right? Where like, I don't know what your phone habits are, but like for me, like there would be days where I would spend 2 hours just like scrolling.
Sure.
That 2 hours back, I'm not necessarily like now like working on a meeting or like this. It's actually like sometimes I'm just taking a walk and like thinking and like maybe even like not doing much.
Right.
And like those are the times when like, oh, like I'd love to go like on this trip, or like I should like check out that restaurant. Maybe I should invite this person. And like I do think again, if spontaneity and experiences is important to you, and I think it should be to some degree, but like I think there's a way you can like bring that into your life without being so formulaic. The meeting thing was more like, I'm on this meeting. I'm like, no one asked me a question. So like, why am I here?
Well, and to that point, like there also needs to be some purpose and intentionality for like how you spend your time. Yeah. So I totally get that. Not just like, we have a recurring meeting, so this is what we do now.
Dude, I was literally on this meeting. It's like an every other Monday recurring meeting. And the last 4 meetings, they've literally been like, what should we use this meeting for? And I'm like, what? Like, how about we just get rid of the meeting, and then if someone needs it, like, yeah, we can get it back going. But like, it's like 5 to 5:30. I'm like, I'm done with the day. Like,
That's pretty rude. Let's be
yeah,
rude. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But there's a lot of that stuff that happens.
I'm curious to understand like how you've incorporated this in your own life, Shrey, because like you've been thinking about this a long time, but I think it's helpful to share like what practices in your life did you identify excess in?
Yeah.
How have you incorporated minimalism, and what have been the net benefits that you've received?
Yeah, so I think like the phone example was a big one where like I felt like I was kind of addicted to like watching reels or whatever. If you wake up in the morning and you watch like reels, or you go to the bathroom, you watch reels, and like even as like a little break, I'll watch reels from work.
What do you do on the shitter now?
Yeah, you're just taking like dry poops.
Yeah. Do you have a magazine?
Just think.
Dude,
That's
I can't raw dog.
crazy.
Are you the kind of guy who raw dogs a flight?
No. I sometimes
Shrey
I'll,
sits on the toilet like this.
sometimes I will bring my phone in to like respond to some messages.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, who's just sitting there thinking, man, that's anti-American.
No, but like what I realized for me was like, while it is seemingly like fun to look at the reels, like I just get more like anxious because I'm looking at like other people like living their lives, and like there is like some comparison that's happening in there, like based on what other people are saying and doing. I also feel like I don't really want to work because I'm just gonna like look. It's just like a little bit draining.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like recognizing that like, okay, by doing this is kind of taking away from like things you're like, whatever.
It's also psychologically like, let's just sit on the endless scroll might be the worst thing that's ever happened to society.
Yeah.
The founder of Endless Scroll says he regrets creating it.
Yeah, that documentary was wild. He was like, this is the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Still made money. Give all the money back, dude.
A lot of money.
Give it back.
Yeah, as he's in his
He's swimming in a
beautiful
little pool.
San Francisco
I'm a
mansion.
monster.
I hate myself. Yeah, but I hear that.
Yeah, I also try like in the mornings, like when I was like looking at stuff, then it would be like really hard to get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried like not putting the phone near my stand, and then like just waking up and also like going and doing certain things before I actually like pick it up. And like that helps too. With work, I did actually like kind of go through like certain meetings, and I was like, okay, I haven't been asked a question on this in like 4 weeks, so like I'm not going to show up to this meeting. And I actually like, for me, like meetings can be like draining because I think I just like doing more of the actual work.
Right.
So some of mine still getting value out of, so I just kind of stopped going unless people actually like ask me to, and then I've kind of found that people haven't asked me to come back.
This is why you're getting groomed for executive leadership.
Yeah. I think in terms of like time for like fun, like I think about like I want to like spend time making some music, and like just having like time to like, it's not even have a goal, just like have an hour to just like dick around and like make some funky beats or whatever. I like being outside more.
So you're just really, what it's sounding like is you're optimizing for the things that are bringing you the most fulfillment right now.
Yes.
Like, and trying to decrease the things that ultimately, when you look at them, give you like more anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say
that
like,
feels pretty good.
that's I think like the whole. I think that's what everyone should do with this, but that it's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah. I was the kind of question that was on top of my mind is like, how do y'all define like a life well lived?
I mean, for me, it's like if I can take care of all my people, and if I feel like if everyone, if I could, if I like life was done and everyone's like, oh, he made me feel
Yeah.
better about this, or he brought levity to it. He wasn't a dick to me. Yeah, like my thing is like I don't enjoy, or I really have an issue with people who treat people differently based on synthetic titles or authority levels. Like I think that if you are a good life for me is being genuine with everyone and like
Yeah.
treating people the same way, regardless of like what you are getting in return for them.
And it also sounds like within that, like making lots of quality time with the people around you over the course of your life.
Which is exhausting at times, but like it's got its positive benefits. So
Yeah. Genuine relationships that aren't transactional.
Yeah.
oh, the transaction ones make you money too. So like,
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking a lot. Justin, what are your thoughts on everything I've been saying? Agree,
No.
disagree?
I agree. Like there are, I agree that like everyone in their life has their own version of excess, right? I think that to Trav's point, some of that excess is the spice of life. I don't think that it is sustainable to operate in 100% efficiency all the time. Again, now trying to maximize the time that you are being efficient, I think is a positive for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that that giving oneself some grace if you are not ruthlessly efficient is equally as important as well, right? Yes, hey, maybe today I spent too much time on my phone scrolling reels. Maybe it took me longer to get out of bed. For me, the crux of it is like, if that happens, you're not like a bad person because you did that, fix it,
Yeah.
and then try not to do it again.
Right.
So it's like minimalism without self-judgment
Yeah.
would be kind of where I would land.
Some forgiveness for yourself.
Yeah,
No,
give
for
yourself some
sure.
grace.
Yeah.
You're a human. You're not a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it is tough. It's not like one day, I just was able to quit looking at my phone. Like it's been a process. It's kind of like if you go to the gym and you want to get in shape. It's not like by the second day you're in shape. It takes
Speak for yourself.
a
Just kidding.
But no, you bring up a really good point, which is like if you like try to set out to, I want to cut out this or I want to make more time for this or whatever, and you don't hit it, I don't think it's beneficial to beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, don't unravel. Like try
Yeah.
again.
And it's sort of like that's why I like removing the minimalist and the identity part is like crucial. It's just like this is your path, your journey, and if you can make a little bit of progress, you should celebrate that. And if you didn't, figure out like what you want to do to get better, but don't beat yourself up in like I'm not good enough and I'm not like this person who did do this. Like those are all very dangerous things I think that could hurt you.
There's also like I've kind of had this self-realization a little bit more over the years of like constant excess diminishes the returns of it like inherently. Like if you're so Uber Eats is a great example of this in my mind that I'd reflected on. It's like eating out became something way less special like following the pandemic because we were ordering in from all these restaurants. And so like because you're like cooking less, like the experience of eating the pasta place or the Thai place, like it doesn't become like this fun night out anymore or like an experience. It's like, oh yeah, that's just like another meal during the week or something. It's
Trav
like,
just sad eating noodles in the restaurant.
for sure. But I think that was like a pretty universal COVID experience for a lot of people.
Right.
And so there's, it's kind of like, oh, did you take like the specialness away from a night out at dinner with friends because like that's just the norm of the week at that point. And it's like you get yourself used to the next level of things like the more you're doing it. So I think there's also something to be said about like it's not like restricting yourself on those days, but making sure the special things stay special is also important.
There's something in there which I've been thinking about a lot, which is like the if I think we have a tendency to like move goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
So like it'd be great if I could, order in food and whatever, but then when you order in food, then it's like, well, what's the next thing I want to
Yes.
that's going to make me feel good?
There's also this is a good one. I'm glad you segued there. The like treating yourself with a reward.
Yeah.
When you didn't do anything to get the reward. I loved when you used to do this. At the end of every week, you'd post an Instagram that said, treat yourself, Shrey, and you would have a cocktail. It was like, it didn't fucking matter what happened that week.
Yeah.
You're treating yourself.
I loved that.
Which
for
I
the record.
love, for sure.
Sometimes it'd just be on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's like the week hasn't started.
But there is something to like getting a reward or giving yourself a reward for like doing something. Like working, it's like, hey, well, I worked out 4 days this week. It's like, I'm going to go get KBBQ with my friends. I'm like, oof, that's a good balance for me. Versus like, oh, I'm going to reward myself every night this week just because I'm sad, which is sometimes fine, right? But I don't know. There's like a middle ground to be found there.
I think you should, I don't know. I think you should celebrate like wins in your life, even if they are small. Like, hey, I wasn't able to go to the gym for the last 3 weeks. I got myself there. That's
Treat
great.
yourself.
Yeah. Like I was able to do this thing at work or whatever. Oh, I went on this date and I hadn't been dating for a while. Like, I think there's a lot of things you should, like take credit for and like pat yourself on the back and, figure out a way to keep going.
Dude, sign me up for the cult. I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now.
All right, I got Travis on board. Where are we at with you, Justin?
I need to be convinced a little bit more. I'm still working on it.
Okay.
But no, I to that point, like I agree with a lot of what you say. Like I think the principles behind it make a ton of sense to me. I think that as you're speaking, I'm just thinking like, okay, like how would I do that in my own life?
I also think like as an outside observer, you're like pretty good in this regard. Like there's not a lot of excess bullshit that I see you doing in your life.
If it's all excess bullshit, then no, I mean I just like
you have good routines, like you have a great relationship. Your place is like pretty clean and nice. You like work hard, work out, but then go like have fun. I feel like you've got a pretty good balance going on.
Yeah, a good life to me is a balanced life. Because like you can't take anything with you when you go. And so I just want to make sure like you never know when you're going to go. So it's like just making sure that you're always finding that level is a priority for me.
Yeah.
I think balanced life is definitely, at least for me, like something I would value too. I actually would argue, it's kind of controversial, that like a non-balanced life is easier in some ways because now you've put so much focus into one thing and like your worth into that one thing that it's like nothing else matters except this one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
If that makes sense. I know it's not easy to just like go and achieve this one thing, but like,
I mean, it is escapism in a sense. Like,
I think there's a lot of admiration out there for singularly focused people, but then you take the layers, like the layers of the onion off, and you're like, I don't know, you're not that great of a person.
That is like one of the weird things looking at history of just like so many innovations are done by people who I would never want to be. And who, who like, I was like, oh, this guy invented this really crazy thing that like modernized science and also like ruthlessly cheated on his wife and like, slept for. So I was reading, Michael Crichton, the author. He wrote like Jurassic Park. It's like 10 movies made on his books. He did this like scaled self-punishment thing to help motivate his writing where every day as he was writing a book, he would move his wake up slightly early. So like, let's say he goes to bed at 10 p.m. He starts at like 8 a.m. is where he wakes up at the beginning of the book. And then every day he keeps writing the book, he has to wake up progressively earlier and earlier. And so by the time he'd finish, he'd be getting up at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And it's like, that was his ticking time bomb to like motivate himself to finish books.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's also just really bad for you.
Is that why
Yeah.
the latter Jurassic Park movies are way worse than the first one?
The people like I saw some comments on. It's like, this is why the endings of his books always
Yeah.
suck. Like they're great until the last 40 pages where this like sleep deprived guy is just destroyed. So I don't know. There's a lot of people who have figured out a system for innovation and like singular focus that I don't think is what I want in my life either.
Damn, that's rough. Like
Yeah.
2 hours of sleep.
Dude, I don't know. Stephen King used to just do a bunch of coke and hide out in the cabin.
Yeah.
It's also a process. I don't know.
I'm still, if we're being honest, I'm still stuck on the fact that Shrey just takes poops without his phone.
Can we get dude, that's unbelievable.
Sometimes I do have my phone. I'm just not looking at Instagram. Sometimes I look at ESPN, the scores from the NBA game.
So you always find a new vice.
Yeah, but it's hard to get addicted to box scores of NBA games.
I don't know. You can go deep on stats these days.
Not if you're Shohei's interpreter.
Ooh.
But okay, actually, I there are times where like I kind of do get addicted because I'm like I need something to look
Yeah.
at, and there is some self-realization of like I don't need this.
Mhm.
This is like something it's an automatic thought to be like I need to look at my phone. I need to look at like Google News and ESPN and everything. Like oh shit, I'm gonna Wikipedia this person that I just thought about.
I've replaced like scrolling on the feed in the mornings with I now do all the New York Times games.
Yeah.
So I do like Wordle, connections, the mini crossword, and the spelling bee. And if I don't do those in a day, I feel really unfulfilled.
Yeah.
It's like how I start my days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always addicted to something.
Yeah. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. Free yourself of all your addictions.
Minimalism.
Minimalism. Boom.
Yeah. But yeah, that's minimalism. At least that's the way I think about it.
I do think objectively you have a viable business strategy. I think people would benefit from having someone come in and like ask them some simple questions about their life
Yeah.
and like how they want to be spending their time in an ideal world. And then if you look at the way you spend your time in a day,
Yeah.
practically like decluttering or trying to get organized or find where your emails are or
Yeah.
you're scrolling and you just really want to like do art,
Right.
Like, I think there's a lot of benefit to what you're talking about of doing kind of a individual audit and
Yeah.
having some recommendations. And it's not just like, black and white art,
Yeah, it can't, in my mind, it can't be that.
Yeah.
It has to be based on the individual and like what they want out of this. Otherwise, then it's me saying what I think, but it's not
Right.
going to work for you.
That's Marie Kondo.
Yeah. I don't really know too much about it other than the spark joy thing.
Does this spark joy?
Oh my God.
But yeah, I don't know.
Good discussion.
All right.
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
All right.
What should we do now?
Oh, do we have any good stories?
Found out this week that when dogs poop and they look at you, that's actually like a natural selection type thing because they are looking at you to protect them because they're in such a vulnerable state. So you'll notice that when dogs poop, they look at their owners like this.
Wow. What if they don't want to make eye contact with you?
We can cut this.
What does it mean? Does it mean they don't think you're strong?
No, they are looking to you to be strong
No,
and
but
protect them.
What if you're trying to make eye contact and it's like,
I don't know. Maybe
does
they're
that
looking
mean?
for someone who will be more of a protector.
I'm coming back to this point. It's like, how do we not have an ability to talk to dogs? Like, we've had dogs for thousands of years as humans. They're best friend. We've had so many scientific innovations. We're building fucking AI. Like, can we just have a dog translator? Is that hard?
Would you want to hear what dogs are saying?
Probably not, but I'm shocked there hasn't been more.
What if dogs were
scientific
all just like
investment.
super racist?
I
Some
kind
are,
of
yeah.
think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you barked at me, but you didn't bark at anyone else on the street.
Just throwing so many dog slurs out there.
Have you seen the turtle video, like the tortoise things?
Oh, with the black shoe?
Yeah, black shoe. They
Yeah,
just
it's
ram
tough.
their head against it. White shoe, they're like,
Oh no. Oh no.
all those racist ass turtles out there, man.
Turtles are kind of assholes.
I
to
like
be honest.
Totos.
Toidles. We like toidles.
Oh. All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Good to be back for the episode. Follow us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, the whole gambit. And yeah.
Yeah. Kiss the homies goodnight.